So we want to talk about Be'ez Hashem, the idea of Chein. What is Chein? Chein is translated. That's the way it's translated. Generally, it's translated as grace, but it's not a real good translation. What is Chein? How do you gain Chein? Is it something that you work on? Is it something that you get? And how does it work exactly? And this idea of Chein is going to move into a little bit an area that's not so relevant to this crowd here, but maybe for the younger Bachram. It goes into this whole other topic, which is Chein is also which is wasted seed. So there's a very big conversation about this in the Zohar. We'll see soon about this whole topic, and we'll understand why is it such a big issue. What's the whole thing about it, and try to understand something deeper over here. What's going on? Okay, so the pasuk basically starts off in this week's parsha that actually the end of last week's parsha that Noach is matzah Chein be'einei Hashem. The Noach finds Chein in the eyes of Hashem, some type of grace. And then the next in this week's parsha, in the beginning of Noach, it talks about that the Noach was ish tzadikoy b'deres tzadikoy el tadas Noach ish tzadikoy b'deres, so that he was a tzaddik, and Elokim esalach Noach walked with Elokim. So we see that Chein, the idea of Chein, of grace, is connected to the name of Hashem, to Yud Kei Vav Kei, to one name of Hashem, and tzaddik, which is like the idea of righteousness, is obviously connected to din, to judgment, which is the name of Elokim. So there's two elements over here that there's, and there's also the idea of tamim. There's tzaddik, tamim, and chein. He has like three qualities. Now you could define them and say that tzaddik is righteous, tamim means simple-hearted or complete. Chein is grace. You can say that there's three different things. Actually, the Brisker Rav says that tzaddik and tamim refers to the two things that happen in the parsha. One is the story of the flood, and one is the story of the Aflaga. So he was a tzaddik that saved him from the flood, and he was a tamim that saved him for the Aflaga. You could say it like that. We'll see from the Zohar it doesn't work this way. It doesn't work. But what's the difference between tzedakah, tzaddik, righteous, and chein? And if you look at the pasuk, it seems that from the level of tzidkus, from the level of being righteous, that wouldn't have helped. It's not about being righteous. Righteous wouldn't help. Being righteous wouldn't have helped. He has to have chein, and chein is what helped him. And we'll see that there's something about the chein, which later becomes the reich nechoyach, that when Noach brings a offering, he's bringing a reich nechoyach. The choyach also has the letters chein. The idea of reich nechoyach, and the same reason why Hashem wants to destroy the world is the same reason why Hashem says the world should not be destroyed. Because man is bad from the beginning of creation, therefore I should destroy the world. Therefore Hashem says I would destroy the world. And that's the same reason why Hashem says at the end of the Mabul, this is the reason why I will not destroy the world. So it seems to be that Noach was able to induce Chein. When you have Chein, the same thing that gets one person nervous, if you don't have Chein, can make it very cute if you do have Chein. Let's say a little child is like pulling on your tzitzis or something, and he's nudging you. If it's an older 50-year-old guy that's pulling your tzitzis, it's not such Chein. It's not. But if a little kid is doing it, it's the same action. But you get away with doing things when you have Chein. When you have Chein, there's some type of past, which means the same qualities of a person could be annoying or could be charming. Maybe Chein is charming. Depends if the person has charm. So how does a person get charmed? Like, is it you're born with this? You find it. How do you find it? What is a chein? How do you get it? So let's try to understand what this is a little bit. So we'll start off with a very interesting Arachaim, which is the end of last week's parsha. That it says the Noach matzah Chein. So the Chaim writes, the Chaim HaKadosh writes Ki agam shal yitzadik lo yitzlein es al-kasei, ela b'chinas achein shehisam gotzusah b'chinas ha-mitzvahs. That the reason why he was saved is not because he was a tzaddik, because he was righteous, but because the fact that he had Chein. Chein is what was a saving grace. But then the AriZal writes something very strange. He writes, there are certain mitzvahs that draw a Chein on a person. These are 3 or 4 mitzvahs that are known that draw a Chein. What are the 3 or 4 mitzvahs that draw a person's Chein? Like what is the mitzvah? And the AriZal doesn't say. It just says these are the 3, 4 things. These 3, 4 mitzvahs that, and when a person does them, they have Chein. He brings down from this on the left side. This is it's a beer on the AriZal. He reads on the Birkas Shimon. I think the Birkas Shimon is Baal Shem Tov, the Chein. That's the Birkas Shimon. So there's Shiur. So he brings down over there that he says the mitzinu that you find 4 mitzvahs that you see Chein. You have Torah. Malas Chein alumda brings Chein on a person. Yalas Chein. The same thing also, Mechiach as Chaver L'Shem Shemayim. The Gemara says in Talmud, you get Chein if you're Mechiach somebody L'Shem Shemayim, if you rebuke a person for the sake of heaven, not for your own personal gain. And then Chein Amar Adam Sheyesh B'y. I can't do that. That's too hard for me. Chein Shenot. There's a Chein on Sheyesh Chein. Oh, Chein Adam Sheyesh B'y Shemayim. A person has Yiras Shamayim, a God-fearing person has Chein. And then he says also Shsika, who Chein, because it says that Ein Esther Magadas, and then it says that Esther was Tafsa Shsika Tafsa, that she held on to Rachel. Rachel also didn't speak. She was quiet and didn't say over the signs. She didn't say over that it was her. And because of that Shika, the Gemara says that Esther Yerkakasaya, that she was really green. I don't know, some type of form that she was not beautiful. But chutz shel chesed mashachalham, that she had a chutz shel chesed. So shestika, like silence, brings about Chein. This is what the Birkas Shimon writes, that you have these 4 mitzvahs you have. But the AriZal doesn't write it. The AriZal doesn't write it. So why is not... where's the AriZal guy? No, the AriZal doesn't write it. Why doesn't the AriZal write it? The AriZal should write it clearly. You do it somewhere, but he doesn't write it. And it's also 3 or 4. It's 3 or 4. Or it's 3 or it's 4. And what's how you do is the ones that are known. And if you say that it's, because the Gemara says in Talmud,
What's the question on time? Why doesn't he write what?
He said that there's certain mitzvahs that get Chein. So tell us what the mitzvahs are. What are the 3, 4 mitzvahs you have to get Chein? He just says that there are 3, 4 mitzvahs. But there's also, there's a pasuk in Mishlei that says, La Nov Miyitun Chein. So you have another also gives Chein. Chein v'chesed. Yeah. You have Tmimos also gives Chein. Chein v'kav yitna Hashem li'im netoiv lo'ilchem b'tamim. You have Tmimos brings Chein. So I would. I'm not arguing with the Birkas. I'm not arguing. I would say different. I would say different. I would say because you say that it's Mechiach as Chaver, that's Chein. Okay, you can find other things that have Chein. I think the AriZal is talking about like midas. Like inner qualities. And I think if you think about these 4 things of humility, anava, tmimus, like simple-hearted, shesika, silence, and yiras shamayim, I think they all in the same category. Usually a person that's an anav is usually a quieter person, not a loud person. Someone that's not loud is also a more humble, more tmimus. I mean, they seem like the same quality. You understand? Instead of saying it's a mechiach es chaver, I think these are the 4. Why the AriZal doesn't say it? Maybe because he wants you to figure it out yourself. You have to figure it out. But somehow there's a quality of a type of chein that a person receives by being humble, quieter, more simple-hearted. This is Chein. We'll see if we can figure out these midos exactly what they exactly are, how they work with Chein. How do they work with this idea of grace? So we'll have a few different Ma'arim for different things where you find in Svarim about the idea of Chein. So the next source is Keles Yaakov. Keles Yaakov it's a sefer on Kabbalah. It's basically like an encyclopedia of Kabbalah, written by one of the Talmidei of the HaYesod. Also a sefer called Malay Reim. One of the big Talmidei of the HaYesod wrote. It's like a collection, but the nice thing, there's older collections. of like these encyclopedias of Kabbalah. But this is the reason why it's a nicer. It's more contemporary because it's already after the Baal Shem, after the Maggid, after a few generations. So he brings down also from Torah's Chassidus. But he brings down 5 definitions of what Chein is connected to. Chein beginnes Ava. That Chein is connected to the idea of love. Chein beginnes Shaltanus. A type of like sovereignty or something, yeah. Control. Maybe that's a better word. Chein is connected to love, control. The idea of a revealing of wisdom and Ruach HaKodesh. Chein is also Malchus. Chein is connected to Malchus, which is like the recipient of everything. But this is a Chein, and this is also from the Likutei Moharan that he talks the first time of Likutei Moharan is Chein. Ches and Nun. Ches is the transcendence, and Nun is Malchus. So you have Malchus also. Malchus. And then he says the 5th idea, Kol Sfirim is Bechen. That they're all, Chein is everything. Chein is like from the top to the bottom. He brings down from the Maggid Misharim that you have Chein is an idea, some type of movement that has all of them. But there's important words that we're saying here. Again, we're just throwing out a bunch of different words and we're trying to make some sense of this. That Chein is humility, Chein is tmimus, Chein is shtika, Chein is control, shultanos. Chein is ashpah chachma, there's ashpah of wisdom, there's Ruach HaKodesh. But what is it? What is this Chein and how do we acquire it? One more source about what is Chein is from Amar Ad Mar Zaken, the Alter Rebbe's Maimer, that it's a Torah that is brought down from the Maggid. We'll see soon. It's also from the Maggid that in Parshas Noach he brings down Laderech Noach Matzah Chein towards the end of the second paragraph. Bein Hashem, that Noach is connected Pirush Chein. Chein already he's writing it with shreichlach, with little apostrophes. So he's saying that it's already a Rosh Tevis. Chein is been the Chachmei Law. So what is Chein? Hazanas ha'olam kula b'chein u'b'chesed shemamshich Noach b'chinas Chein mahavaya. That Noach was able to draw down. We said that Chein is connected to the name Hashem. That tzedakah is connected to the name Elokim. That Noach matzah Chein b'nei Hashem, particularly to the name of Hashem. That Noach was able to draw down Chein because Noach who hepech hatzir of Chein. Noach is the opposite of Chein. The letter is Noach. It's a palindrome. You can go backwards and forward. So you have Chein and Noach. No, palindrome is different. Palindromes you could read it backwards and forwards the same way. There's 2 words that Noach and Chein, backwards and forwards. Anytime it's Mishapach HaTziruf, which means it changes the tziruf of the letters to the one before, then it's higher. K'may Aleph is Chachma. Aleph Chachma. That's the pasuk said. Aleph Chachma. I teach Chachma. But Pella is Keser. Pella is already transcendence. Ki Ishki Afli Ned is something that's transcendent of something that's more than the Chachma. So it's reversed. So Zois Noach who Hashoyesh HaMenucha. So here's the word. The Noach, which is the Shoyesh HaMenucha, Ha'atzmis the Shabbos, Chinis Atzmis Ha'oinege Elyon, Mokar HaChein. So what is Noach? Noach is the essence of peacefulness, Menucha. The essence of Shabbos, like some type of Menucha, which is the essence of, the Atzmi is the essence of Taina, the essence of Oineg. Is it making it a little more clear what Chein is? But it's just much more words, and we have a little bit more words to think about it. But we're having different words. You have Atzmi, it's Menucha, it's Oineg, it's Chachmei Law, it's Ruach HaKodesh, it's Shaltanas, it's Shtika. What is it? So what is the midah of Chein?
Did he draw this, or did he have it?
Oh, look, it's a good child. This is the next child we have to ask. Did he draw it? Did he naturally have it? Matzah. So what is matzah? What does matzah mean? Matzah means is matzah yageh? Matzah. Yeah, but then there's something there's dvarim and nimtzu b'hes chadas. The Gemara says the gimel dvarim nimtzu b'hes chadas.
Hashem is halach noach.
Elikim is halach noach. Elikim is din. Talk about b'shem Hashem. B'shem Hashem is noach. So shal is what? How does could you draw it down? Is it something that's possible? So here we're going to learn a shtickle from the Ari. It's a little oasis of Kabbalah, but it's kedai just to see what the Ari says because it's the Ari. So do you have it? Tzorech ladas. We have to understand Lama mechana kosav mitzias achein beinayim. Why do you say motzachein beinayim? That Noach motzachein beinay Hashem. He found favor in the eyes of Hashem. How about not the ears of Hashem? Other Noach motzachein ba'af Hashem. What's the name? What is chein? Is not a tangible thing. So what does it mean by beinay Hashem? Uma inyam mitzias achein. What does it mean to mitzias? What do it mean you found chein? How do you find chein? You should know that ki ayin oila kuf lamed. The word ayin yud nun, which is I, is numerically 130. This is a very simple mathematics, simple thing. Ayin is 130. 130 is 5 times the name of Yud Kei Vav Kei. It's 5 times the name of Yud Kei Vav Kei. And in the kavanas, on the kavana of the AriZal on Kiddush, you're supposed to look in the Kiddush cup, because the Gemara says that it's machzer. If a person loses their eyesight, it's machzer through Kiddush Rabbah. So the Ari says you should look with your eyes into the Kiddush, because the ayin is kuf lamed, and you should mechaven these 5 times Yud Kei Vav Kei. Okay, that's the kuf lamed. That's the general kuf lamed. That's 130. But the Ari says like this. V'hu Shem Havayim Mole. Shem Havayim Mole is like this. Shem Havayim Mole is like this. Shem Havayim Mole is, there's Yud Kei Vav Kei. Okay? Yud Kei Vav Kei, it's actually in the little right, I actually wrote it out to make it clear. Yud Kei Vav Kei is 26. But Yud Kei Vav Kei is spelled out. And you can spell out 4 ways, Yud Kei Vav Kei. Yud is always spelled Yud Vav Dal, is always 20. But the Hey, the Vav, and the Hey can be spelled Hey Aleph, Hey Yud, or Hey Hey. Depending. That's the Shem Av, Sag, Ma, and Ban, in case you're familiar with this. Okay, you say this in the Pasuk Chalio every time. These are the 4 fillings of the name of Yud Kei Vav Kei. If you take the 3 possibilities of filling out the Yud Kei Vav Kei, which means with Aleph, Yud, and Hey, so then if you do this in full Gematria, which is 72, 63, 52, and 45, is 232. Right? That's why 232, you know what 232 is. Okay, whoever doesn't know, doesn't know. But that's 232. But Yud Kei Vav, that's Yud Kei Vav Kei B'Shem Mili. But if you only do Yud Kei Vav Kei, Hey Yud, Vav Aleph Vav, and Hey, the numeric value would be 58. You follow? Yud Vav Dal is 20. Hey Yud is 15. Vav Aleph Vav is 13. Hey is 10. The total number is 58. That's Chein. So Hu Shem Havayim Malad. Shem Havayim Malad is Gematria Chein. Then you have Pashat Kafel Mishulish Meruba. Pashat Kafel Mishulish Meruba is that the way you can write the name of Yud Kei Vav Kei is you can write Yud, then Yud Hey, then Yud Hey Vav, and then a Yud Hey Vav and a Hey. So if you take the full gematria of Yud, then Yud Hey. So Yud is 10. No, without filling it. Yeah, no, it's just the letter, not the middle. Yud. Then you do Yud Hey, which is 15. Then Yud Hey, Yud K and Vav. 31. 21. Yeah, Yud Hey Vav. 21. Plus.
26.
Plus Yud Kei Vav Kei, 26.
21 and 26 is 47.
No. One second, you may mess it up. Yud is 10. Yud Kei is another 15. That's 25. Together.
25 plus 21 is 46.
It's 46. Plus Yud Kei Vav 26.
72.
That's 72. Okay, that's the shame. That's Pashat Kafel Misholish Meruba. That's what Ari talks about. There's something that the Zohar talks about, that there's a Shiur Kafel, a Shiur Meruba, a Shiur Misholish, a Shiur Meruba, which means that things. What? How do you get 130? If you take Kafel, Pashat Kafel Misholish and Meruba together with the Yud Kei Vav Kei Male, which is 58 and 72 is 130. Okay, that's Ayin, correct? That's Ayin. So let me just say what the saying is. That Pashat Kafel Mishulash and Meruba means things become more multiplied. That's what it actually means, right? You have 1, then it becomes 2, then it becomes 3, then 4. They correspond to the 4 worlds, obviously, but this is the same idea, which means that the most we'll call it the most multi-dimensional form is going to be in the 4. If it starts as a singularity in Atzilus, it becomes a double, becomes Kafel in Yitzir, it becomes Meshulish in Yitzir, it becomes a Meruba in Asiya. Okay, so it's more. Let me just say very simply. Scientifically speaking, the world goes from a simplicity to complexity. Correct? That's the way the world is constantly evolving. That as the world is unfolding, it becomes more complex, not less simple. Become more complex, which means more life is more complexity. That's the higher form of life. A zebra has a higher form of life than an ant because it has more complexity, it has a bigger brain, more complexity. So the more things are complex, which means the more dimensions it has, the more it's moved away from its original root. The original root is a singularity. Now, of course, you have to say that the whole tachlis is to recognize the singularity within the multiplicity. That's true. But in terms of the way the structure creation, the multiplicity represents the complexity, which is the moving away from the achtos, or the apparent achtos. Okay? So that's the meruba would be the furthest one. So here it goes like this. What Darius says. V'zeh is ha'ayin ha'elyon. This Shem Havaya, also connected to the 72, is considered the higher eye, the upper eye. Because in this eye, there's obscurities. Sometimes it's possible that a person has dirt in their eye, or some type of fogginess, and they can't see clearly. So what you have to do, av means dense. Ayin beis also in Hebrew means oven, which is dense. So to take the density from the clarity of the vision, so what that would mean is to remove 72 from 130. When you've taken 72 out of 130, you have 58, which is Chein. That's Chein. So what is Chein? Chein is the removal of some type of obscurity of vision to be able to see clearly. Now, when your vision is in a correct form, is in a correct way, then it's going to be then you're going to have Chein. Okay, it's just another layer of the problem. It's not a layer to the answer, but this is another layer of the issue, is that it's correct vision. That vision, the taking away of the kafel, mechupol, and meshulish, and meruba, taking away all the multiplicity, and to get to the place where it's clean, clear vision. This is ayin. Then matzah chein. What is matzah chein? Huh? That's what we're talking about. This is matzah chein. Matzah oil kuflamed. Matzah is also kuflamed. AriZal doesn't care about 131. Just should know this. This is whenever you learn Kisari, it's not a problem. One number Dari means nothing. So I know later on they're very meduik, but Nari is totally not meduik with this thing. He's one less, one more. It doesn't matter to him. You can say he can do all these words, but he doesn't. It doesn't. It's not. Of course, he can add. You don't have to be. Dari to see the matzah has an aleph, so it's obviously not 130. Even if you don't know how to add, you know how to add 40 and 90, you still know that aleph is in one. It's nicht again. Matzah by a chein shu amilui k'mashavaranu. Now, what is matzah? Matzah chein means he found the chein. He found the chein within the matzah. Right? He took the 130, and within the 130, he was able to tease out the 58. Zebein Hashem. Zebeinaim. This is to have to do especially with the eyes. Therefore, this is the same thing also we find with Yosef HaTzadik. V'ita chein noi, that Yosef HaTzadik also had chein. This is just another layer of Yosef is the midah of Yesod, right? Yesod is the we said is many times Yesod is a part of the body as well, but it's any point of interaction between you and something that's outside of you. That's the point of Yesod. It's the expression of self into something outside of itself. That's the point of Yesod.
Archaim calls Noach also Yesod, Tzadik Yesod.
Yeah, correct, of course. Yeah, we're going to see soon. Yes, so zivug tal beinayim. The zivug is tal beinayim. How do we know that? Why is zivug tal beinayim? What does zivug have to do with beinayim? Zivug tal beinayim, because the Gemara says The Gemara says, Chazal say, that if someone is mar bezera, someone that has a lot of release, it takes away, it diminishes the eyes of a person. Again, does this mean literal? I don't know, it's not relevant. But somehow the eyes are connected to a person's zera, to a person's output. So therefore, the Kedushas Yosef, the Kedusha of Yosef had to do beinayim. That's what the Gemara says, that by Mishkan Shiloh, which was in Shevet Yosef, which was the part of Yosef, that anything that was royas hamikdash is considered is kol haroya, because kol haroya is because you're ben hakloim. In the base of Mikdash, which is in Shevet Yehuda, you have to actually be in the kloim to eat kachakalim. But with the Shiloh, you could be outside and look at it. If you see it, you're already in it, because Yosef was mataken riyah. Yosef mataken riyah. Alishur, correct. Alishur, correct. The Nashim, the Mitzvah, Alayain. Correct. So this is connected here. Yosef Shu Amazave. So therefore Yosef is a Mazave. Tzarich lekach zachein hazeh she'or einayim. Yosef was a Mazave. Tzarich lekach zachein hazeh she'or einayim. He takes the light of the eyes and there shall be so gamkein motzachim beineim. V'lochach oisa oil azavgei. Okay. So what is it? It's the light of the eyes. This is what Chein is. There's Chein, and there's this vision, and then there's the light of the vision. And the light of the vision is when you have light of a type of light of vision. The oil of the einayim is Chein. So there's the ovum of the einayim, which is like the density of the eyes, the lack of clarity, which is one level of seeing. And then there's the oil of the einayim is you take off the ovum, you take off the 72, you're left with the 58, which is the correct vision. So some type of correct vision. You have correct vision, you have correct zivugim, and it's Tikkun midas HaYesod. Okay.
Is this a liberal vision, or is this like
A liberal? What do you mean liberal?
literal?
Oh, it's a liberal vision. No, I don't know yet. We're gonna figure out. What this vision is. But it has to do with Chein. We're trying to figure out what Chein is, and how do we get this Chein? This seems like it's a very nice thing to have. Huh? You have cloudy vision. So how do you get clear vision? What's
There's people in the room with it, you know?
I'm sure there are. Let's see from the Rimzei HaTorah. This is from the Maggid.
What does that have to do? Does this have to do with Eitzadas at some point? Meaning that there was some sort of a clarity that they were looking for by connecting to a higher level that ended up being the symptom, and now this is it.
I don't know. We'll find out. Let's figure it out. Let's see what happens. In Mitzvah Chein, I always told you the problem with these sheets is that I prepare the sheets before I prepare the Shiur, because he needs the sheets before. I don't know. So sometimes the sheets are lav dafka aligned with what. So we'll see. The whole thing, lav dafka, whatever. We'll see.
You're not mishipah to the sheet.
Whatever, the sheets is good. It's a good foundation. These are good sources. These are good makaras. Okay, so the Rimzei Torah is Torah from the Maggid HaMezrich. It's Noyer Torah, and he uses certain lashonos that we can use also over here. It's obviously taken from the Ari, and he says, the idea of Chein is something by Yosef. We also find Mitzias Chein. We find the idea of finding Chein. Yosef gam ke mechina zu tzadik yisoid olam. Yosef is also connected to tzadik yisoid olam. Yosef is called a tzadik. Yosef a tzadik, right? So tzadik is the yisoid, the foundation, which is connected to midas hayisoid. He's the mashber. Vina yidua kishem Chein hu behei tata hanika olam ritzlim malchus. The Chein is actually the lowest madrega. Is the heitata, the lowest level. What does it mean? Because what does it mean that what these tzaddikim, like Yosef and Noach, through their actions, that they drew down from the highest level of Chein, which is Yudke Vavke B'Male. This is on the Toyas of the Ari, and they brought it down all the way to Malchus, all the way to the lowest level, because they're Midas HaYesod. They're contributing, they're giving to others. The Lashon Matzah, what does Matzah mean? So he says a different word of Matzah. Matzah means Vishpia, a mafanik. That they find food for themselves. So Matzah Chein means he was able to give Chein. give. Therefore, we find that these tzaddikim, Yosef and Noach, are the two tzaddikim in the Torah that actually feed the world. Okay, this is so you see that Dafka, these two tzaddikim, we see that they're feeders. They're feeding people. They're mashpia food to other people. That's Eloheta taught to the lowest level. This is, by the way, this is what it's said that AriZal already said before, that the Yud Kei Vav Kei, the Chein is 58. The 58 is when Hey is Hey Yud, Vav is Vav Aleph Vav, then Hey is Hey Hey. That's 58. So the Vav Aleph Vav, the middle center letter of this Yud Kei Vav Kei of Chein is Aleph. So this is what the Maggid is saying. They were able to draw down the Aleph, and which goes back to what the Ari was saying. That's the oil. That's the light. That's the light. Yeah? Let's go to the next page. There's two psukim. One says Ein Hashem, the eye of Hashem is upon his Yereav, those who fear him. And the other one says Ein Hashem tzaddikim, the eyes, plural. How could they have these two psukim? Now you have a new thing. The Einayim, there's the right eye and the left eye. Right? When you call an Ein Hara, you don't call an Einayim Hara. You don't call bad eyes, evil eye, you call it evil eye. So the Chida writes, why do you call it evil eye? Why do you call it Anayim? Because it's actually talking only the left eye. This is why Bilam, which is Sum Ayin, he only had a left eye. So left eye is connected to the Gvura, which is Din. Right eye is connected to Chesed. So you have two eyes. Tzaddik is a Tamim. That we say in this week's parsha. That Tzaddik Tamim Hoyed Beresav. That Tzaddik is the person that's a Shalom. What's Shalom? Someone that's complete. The Bezak Sav is Avir, someone that has love and awe. Therefore he says Ein Hashem, he has both eyes of Hashem upon him, which is Chesed and Gevur. A person that only has Yiras Hashem only has one eye of Hashem. Ein Hashem al Yireav, Ein Hashem al Tzadikim. Tzadikim are those who have both eyes, who have Chesed and Gvura balance, and if they have a balance of Chesed and Gvura, therefore the Ein Hashem, both the eyes of Hashem, is upon the Tzadik. The Tzadik is the Tom, the Tzadik is the person that made the HaYesod. He has the third eye. He has the eye he has the eye that's mishta. Yeah, that it's the eye that can mishalev chesed and gvura. His left eye is right. Okay, so this is something about Chein. Now let's go back to Noach. Let's see what the Zohar says about Noach, because this is all interconnected. What does the Zohar say about Noach? So the Zohar has it's a long arichas parshas Noach in the Zohar, and the Nakuda. I'll just say the Nakuda of the parsha. Now we'll see how we translate this. But the Nakuda of the parsha is, now really it says in the pasuk that it says that Chishu is called basar, which means Chazal already say what that means is basically that they were interbreeding or whatever. They were doing things that were. And there's a Beis Halevi that says that even animals are doing this and whatever, but this something, the whole world went astray, and there was no proper. There's two waters. There's Mayim al Yoinim and Mayim Tachtoinim. There's upper waters and lower waters. Mayim al Yoinim, Mayim Tachtoinim represent also the Zachar and the Nekeva, the male and the female. Mayim al Yoinim is the male. Mayim Tachtoinim is the female. So this is a structure. It could be Zal Malchus, it could be man and woman, it could be always all these structures. But Mayim Tachtoinim is one form of water is the giving water, and one type of water is the feeding water. It's Mayim Nukvim and Mayim Duchrim. One is male waters, one is female waters. What happens when there's Hishas Chobasar? So the pasuk, if you look at the psukim, there's something about that the Torah keeps on using. There's like something that's called a lighten word. There's a code word throughout all of Parshas Noach, and it repeats itself all over the same word. It's a two-letter combination. It's chesmem, which is cham. It's chamos or cham, whatever it is. It appears many times. The idea of chemimus, of let's say heat or whatever, passion, is when there's a possibility that there's a giving of the Mayim Duchrin, we're talking in code, but you can understand what I'm saying, that when there's a giving of Mayim Duchrin without the recipient wanting to receive the Mayim Nukvim. Certainly when there's no arousal for Mayim Nukvim to receive the Mayim Duchrim. Right? Which is just, I just want to give. Which is completely selfish, and which goes back to the idea of Zerah Vatala. That's the root of this. Now, it's interesting when the Pasuk actually defines Noach, it says, V'Noach ish tzadik, Noach is tzadik, and then it says that the Elo Tolos Noach, and then it says Noach is tzadik, then Hashem Chalmas Yafas. So, what does the ish tzadik have to do to be Noilad Shem Chalmas Yafas? What does it have to do? What is that? What's the connection between Shem Chom and Yafas that he had to Ish Sadik? The answer is the oimik. The answer is because Isha Mazir Schil Yilad Zacher. That's the answer. Because correct. What's the definite? What was the problem? The whole problem of the generation is he didn't have chamus. That's the whole word. The whole problem is Malah's chamas at cham. Cham is zera. Zera, that's what Beroichsim Nidun, right? This idea is Berabba. Berabba, Chatu Berabba Nidun. So it means Berabba means Aroiv, Zera. So it means that the problem was they had Chamimus. In simple line, they had testosterone. They had a lot of desire to give. They didn't have anyone to receive. So the overwhelming desire to give broke down the receiver. This is Mayim Duchim without Mayim Nukvim. What's the Tikkun, by the way? What's the Tikkun? What's the tikkun of this chet of the Mabel, the story of the Mabel, is that the Mayim Tachtoinim, the Mayim Al Yoidim became married. That Niftuch Hashemayim, Arubas Hashemayim Niftachu, and Niftuch HaTohim. When Niftuch HaTohim, when the abyss opens up and the Arubas Hashemayim open up, so the upper and lower waters are joined. Right? That's the joining of the two waters. That's the Chachamit Tverias from the Mei Mabel, which means the heat. The heat became one, unified heat, and it's Bereichsim. They died with heat. So, the problem of the Mabel generation is a lot of desire to give without the proper receiving of the receiver. Correct. So when it says that Noach was a ish tzaddik is means HaYesod, and you see that the word that he's a Tamim, which means that he's a Tamim, he's not mol, whatever. But he has a tikkun of this. He has a tikkun of bris. If he has a tikkun of bris, so then it's Isha Mazras Tchila, Yilad Zacher. So when it says Ish Tzadik Hoya, then it says Shem Chamas Yafas. He had 3 sons. Having 3 sons is the raya, like Rabbi Yechanan says, that he knows how to have sons. If he was able to do this. Why? Because if he was able to Isha Mazras Tchila. If you, I'm not saying, listen, if you have sons, daughters, whatever, you figure it out. But I'm saying the idea is Isha Mazras Tchila Yilad Zacher. This is what the Torah is saying, encoded in this narrative. So the tikkun is the let's see a second.
Why does the Torah say that his wife was its tzaddikus?
That's a good childhood. You have a good child. I haven't noticed. That's a good childhood. It's a good childhood.
So what's Chomas is Gezel that's taken?
No, it's taking for yourself. It's always for yourself. It's selfish. It's selfish. Self-centered. What do you take? You're taking for yourself. Okay, look at the Zohar. So the Zohar asks, why the Kadosh Baruch Hu done this generation with water, not with fire, not with anything else? Being the because what happened in the generation of the Mabul is that the higher waters, the upper waters, and the lower waters were not mischaber, didn't have a unity correctly. And therefore a Torah of their skin when there was this hot water. But the idea of the tikkun, Mei Mabel is a tikkun, it's a mikvah. It's Matayas Olam. It's purifying the world. What's the purification? Purification, Hashem says, if you're not going to do the chibur, the unity between the Mayim Yonim and Mayim Tachtonim, I'm going to draw it together. I'm going to bring these things together. Okay, so this is what happened in Doyer Mabel. This is what happened in Doyer Mabel. So obviously Noach, who's Chein, has to be the opposite of that. Noach Chein is the opposite of this problem of Doyer Mabel. So what's the problem? The problem is one other shtickle. We'll just pass this page. This is from the Alter Rebbe. I don't know if I'm going to get into this in Tanya. talks about the Isa Zail Vatala. I want to talk about it. Let's go to the next, but still Baal Shem Tov. We'll go back to it maybe. Hamadaber b'lei machshava. You see that page? Hamadaber b'lei machshava. Someone that speaks without talking, without thinking. Hu kamay moitze zer levatar Rahman al-Sam. It's like literally your moitze zer. You're releasing seed. Ki machshava is a lot of them who's shir koyim shlema. The machshava of a person is a complete being. The rai is, the Gemara says that if a person is thinking about something else, it's possible to have a child that looks differently, or etc. They call the ben tmura. And if a person has no machshava, in kisha das. If you have no machshava, then you can have a zivug. The machshava is the chachma, is the wisdom. The dibur is actually the birth of that thought. Which means the dibur is the chayas. The dibur is your life. Your life. If you're going to give an expression of your life without having machshava, you're kimoitz zara lo atala. What is he saying? He's saying is like this: when we think about of this idea is like this, that anytime, let's reverse. There's a type of scatterness that a person has in the olam ha'maisa, in the world of action. There's a scatterness that a person has in olam ha'dibur, but the root of the scatterness actually happens because of olam ha'machshava, in the thoughts. That means if someone does something, a person's let's say it's a carry. Let's say it's an accidental act. It just happened. The fact that that something is even involuntary, and it's even an accident, it just happened. It's besides that it's min shamayim. That's of course min shamayim. But the you don't do not. Let's say it a little differently. Nothing arises out of nowhere. You don't accidentally do something if you're not rooted in that thing. Let's say a person accidentally, by mistake, they don't. I'm sorry, I said something to you, a Freudian slip. If you had that slip, that means you have that thought, because otherwise you wouldn't say it. If a person does something, why does a person have to bring a carbon on a chatas on a shoygig? Why do you have to bring a carbon on a chatas on a shoygig? The reason why I have to bring a chatas on a shoygig is because there is no accidents. The fact, why lo yunu lov tzadik oven? Because if you're like really in a right place, from being in the right place, good things come out of you. And for not being in the right place, negative things come falling out of you by mistake, by accident. So the root of accidental actions, the marker of that is actually. So there's let's say in the body. So you have like the middle column. So in the way the Sefer Yitzhak says, let's say there's a bris alashim, there's a bris amayrim, which means that there's two bris. There's like the middle point of your body where you're speaking, and then where a person is expressing to create. These two things are basically shaped in the middle part of the body because they're supposed to be the perfect expression of pulling in from all the sides. Let's say a person says something. You're supposed to weigh in all the understandings of all the ideas, what's possible, and then your words are supposed to mirror the thought process, and it should be meduyak, which means that when the words come out in a settled way and in a correct manner, in an aligned way, it's because your machshavas are aligned. Yeah, but mishpat. Yeah, okay, fine. But I'm saying that the idea is if you're scattered in your thought process, then you're gonna have scattered in your words, and you're scattered in your words, you're gonna have scattered in your expression. In other words, they're all aligned. So if you really want to understand what is the avla, or the tremendous thing that's spoken about zer levatala? What's the terrible thing about it? Because a person has energy. Let's go first, like the more subtle level, the Baal Shem is talking about, which is the dibur. A person has dibur. A dibur means when you really say something, right? You really want to express it. You really have a thought, but you never really thought about it correctly. What you want to say. Let's say someone's bothering you, and you tell them something, but you didn't really think it through. Is this the right thing to say? Should I say it in this way? And you say it out. When you said it out, you gave out your koyach into this because you're agitated and you're really upset, and you spoke it out. If you speak it out in a way that was not processed in your mind in a correct way, that means that it's not going to be received by the recipient in a correct way. If it's not going to be received by the recipient in a correct way, you just wasted your energy. You depleted yourself. This is what happens with speech. Sometimes, let's say, I'll give you another example. Sometimes someone asks you an advice. Says, what do you think I should do? And you put your neshama into this third person, and you say to the person, and the guy listens to you, and 5 seconds later, he turns around and does his own thing. Does that ever happen to you? And you feel like what? You just feel like you wasted your time. What's that you wasted your time? You wasted your energy. You gave yourself out in those words, because the words is your chayes. The chayes is a person's words. You give yourself out, and if the recipient, as the makabel, is not received in the correct way, it's that all. It's wasted. If this is true on a physical level, with on a level of speech, it's kol sheken true on a level of zera, on a maisa. Because when a person is maitza, when a person is actually creating something, a blind parent can create a child that can see. Because when a person is maitza, a person gives over of their chayes with zera, you're pulling from every single part of your body, whether you're conscious or not. You're actually pulling from every single part of it. It's not this. It's the concentration on a certain part of the body that's released. But what you're actually drawing from is from the top of your head to the bottom of your toes. This is what's actually happening. So you're drawing all this chayes, and you give it out. If you give it out in a way that the makabel receives it and wants to receive it, then actually what it creates is a loving relationship. This is why the AriZal says that every time a person is intimate, there's creating neshamas. What do you mean creating neshamas? The person's they can't have children, or after having children, or the wife's pregnant, or whatever is feeding the baby. What does it mean? Because every time there's this true intimate moment, what you're doing is the chayes of the person is completely being released into the makabel that's receiving it. So what just happened now is there's a yichud, there's a zivuk. It's not just a yichud on a physical level. There's a zivuk pnimi between these two people, and therefore neshamas are created. Neshamas means that now you have good feelings about the other person, because that other person is carrying you and you're carrying them. You created a true chibur. When fakert, if you do it and there's no makabel, and this is what Zerel Batal is, what you're doing is, so the Alter Rebbe writes in Tanya, it's not going to be as much as someone that does an Avera, and because that's Malvis Yochel L'Saken, if a person born a mamzer, which means because there's a kli makabel the klippa. But if you don't, there's no kli makabel the klippa, but you just release yourself. So the problem is, if you want to say Ba'ayimik, the real problem of this is that you're not longer living any form of alignment. There's no balance between the right and left side and the expression. So what Chazal are talking about on a very deep level, it's okay, fine, whatever you want to deal with, whatever. What we're saying is on a very deep level, what you're saying is, do you want to live an aligned life, or you don't want to live an aligned life? You want to be fully present, and then your expression is a full expression of drawing it from all parts of yourself, and then it's going to be released, or you're just throwing around your things everywhere. You're throwing your diburim everywhere, your machshavas everywhere, and your ma'asim everywhere. This is the makar of Chein. This is why Chein, Chatzurim is the opposite of Chein. Because a child, this is why children have Chein. The reason why children have Chein is, I'll tell you, there was a ma'aser like this. There's someone once wrote a book called 9.5 Mystics. I don't know if you know this book. Anyways, it was a writer, Herbert Weiner, and he came to the Lubavitch Rebbe. This is in the 1950s, and he told the Rebbe that the Bachrim looked very naive. They're Russian Bachrim. They just came out of the war. They said the Bachrim look very. They don't know anything what's going on in the world. And Rebbe said they're not naive. They just don't have the dichotomy. It's a very big difference. It means everyone in this world is so splintered. What's the beauty of a child? What's the real beauty? And this is why a child has Chein. And this is what we're saying. All the things that we talk about Chein, when we talk about it, is really the alignment of all the parts of self in the perfect expression. When a child is crying because you took their toy, there's no other story. They're not trying to work an angle here. They're not trying to figure out a way, how can I get a better deal by crying so I can get more money out of it. They're crying because their toy is lost, which means they're pulling everything that they are. I mean, obviously it's a very undeveloped way. They're pulling all the sides that they are, and they're expressing it correctly. And it's pure. So that's why a child crying can be it has a lot of Chein. It's a lot of Chein when a child cries. Unfortunately, I mean, that's because they're mamish crying the mother about mitzvah nafsham, like, give me my toy. But there's an alignment. What happens when a person gets a little older is they become complicated. They become convoluted. There's dichotomy. And dichotomy happens in the mind first. That's the beginning of the dichotomy. Dichotomy means I think one thing, and I believe in another thing, and I hope for another thing, and I aspire for another thing, and I'm living another way, and I'm guilty for this, and I'm guilty for that, and I should be doing that, and I should be doing that. There's 1,000 different things that are going on in a person's head. So therefore, the person, you look at a person, he's like this. You understand? Yeah, he's not a Baal Shem. Why is he not a Baal Shem? Because the guy's flocked. The guy's like a broken piece of, like a Humpty Dumpty puzzle. It's put together not in the correct way. You understand? One, the ears over here, and there's another. You understand what I'm talking about? You understand when you see a person that has Chein? When you see a person that has Chein, this is the oimik of everything that we just said before. All these Torahs about Chein is the Torah of the Midas HaYesod that's being expressed in a correct way that wants to be received by the Makabel. That you want to give to the Makabel, and there's no ulterior motives and drays and shmeys, and I want to do this and do that. It's an alignment of the whole system that's being expressed correctly.
Is that why Anivus is also Chein?
That's Anivush and Stika. Exactly. It's Tmimos. It's all the same thing. That's what we're saying. Correct. This is what Chazal. That's going back to Rachaim. Yeah, it's exactly those things. All the midas that when we talk about a person that's a tamim, and a person that's like humble, a person not making a lot of noise of themselves, a person that's a tamim. These are all those midas. Because I don't care what that person said and that person. I'm doing my thing, and I'm doing it very cleanly. I'm like a child in this way. I'm just expressing. The mile of the adult is that he has to pull from all those things. This was Ein Hashem al Tzadikim. This was talking about Noach. There's a mashbir and Yosef. There's something. You can say the same word. I mean, we're talking about Yosef Atzadik. You can say the same word. It would appear that Yosef Atzadik is naive. If you read the Torah, if you like, you don't want to be like secular. You want to read the Torah. It seems like Yosef is naive. What's not naive? Yeah, right. He's a nar. It seems like he's a nar. Which means he's a nar. He has a dream. He tells his brothers he doesn't understand. Like it's not. He's not. There's innocence, but this is his chein. His chein is because he has a vision. And he has a dream, and he's told a dream, and this is what he has to happen in his life. He has to unfold. He has to become a king. He's a 17-year-old boy. How's he going to become a king of the world? I don't know. It's going to work. And he lives his dream, and he manifests his dream exactly. This is what Noach is. This is Ruach HaKodesh, and this is Chachmei Law. This is Chein and to Malchus. There's a mashbir, someone that's always aligned and directed and expressing. That's why Chein is Yoifi really. This is the last word from the Tzitzik Tzaddik. Then he says, "Mishu shomer abris v'lo yikarim yavu hu nikar yafa." Someone that shomer abris is called beautiful. Kin yosef yafator sheker chei v'hevel yofi. Okay, then he goes on another thing. But the idea of the yofi is, what is yofi? What is really yofi? What is beauty? Beauty is harmony. Beauty is actually the middle column. It's tiferes. When a person has tiferes, a person has yisoy. His diburim is not. I say what I think. I'm not saying something when I mean something else. I'm saying what I'm thinking. I'm expressing who I am, and I'm always constant. I'm always conscious about that. There's a makabel. I'm not just about I need to express myself. I need to emote. I need to express because there's a makabel now that has to receive that, and I can receive it to the makabel. That's obviously the higher madrega. So this is the oimik of what the idea of Chein is. And if you look through all the sources, now you can understand what is the idea of Chein, and that's Matzah Chein. And that's a type of vision. What's the type of vision? Again, the avim of the vision, again, if we go back to this idea, what's the convoluted thought? The convoluted vision is I'm looking at one thing, but really I look at you and I say, okay, you are good for money. You are good for entertainment. You are good for, I don't know. Everyone has their milas, and I'm looking at you, what can I get out of you? Like what's the personal gain? What's the agenda? That's the alvin. That's seeing it with blinders. You're not seeing the other person, right? You're not seeing the other person, and that's right away. The moment you meet somebody and you're looking at the person as what my agenda is, what can I get from that other person? You just lost the conversation. You're not really having a conversation with them. That's not Chein. You understand? If you want to have Chein, you have to be able to look at things without the oven. What's out the oven? Without the filters. You meet somebody, forget about what's your angle here. This guy is good for me in this way and that way. He's a good producer. I can make money. I don't know. You have 1,000 angles you meet him. I met the guy. He's a nice person. I just want to talk to him. That's the oven. The taking away the oven is taking away the clouds. That's the clouds. The clouds that's the Ein Hashem. The taking away the clouds is like peeling away and able to see it correctly. Correct. That's absolutely Iron. Iron is not only that. Iron is like not only what can I gain, but how do I destroy you? So that's that's already another level. I'm just talking about just to look at things. Just take away all the filters. Could you look at someone? Can you see something? Can you see life without filters? This is the way a child on some level looks, and this is the way a person that has Chein. When you have Chein, you have this midah of drawing that quality. So Matzah Chein, the question you asked before is Matzah Chein a quality you're born with? If you say Chein is charm, then it's a quality you're born with. But if you say the Matzah Chein means something that you actually, that's something that it actually means some type of true inner alignment without any filters, that you're just present. You're present in your mind. You're present in your thoughts. By the way, if you don't have good words, because your mind is discombobulated. But if you have presence of thoughts, presence of words, and presence of actions, and everything is aligned and streamlined, then you have Chein. That's Chein.
But you said you are born with it.
Huh?
You are born with it. A child that
I say generally, child born.
right, but
Yeah.
not lose it means that you continually find
Yeah,
it.
you have to still find it. So you have to work on this. This is you have to work on. So this is the Teretz Amiti. If you want to really know the Teretz Amiti, what are we talking about when we're talking about that a person should be Moitzeh Zer Latal? All these things. What are we talking about? In the klippus and the terrible things that's written in the Zohar. This is what we're saying. This is in very simple language. This is what we're saying. Either you're going to be aligned or you're not going to live aligned. You're not going to live aligned. You're going to be scattered. You're going to be scattered. You're going to feel you're having a scattered life, or you want to live aligned. It's your choice. You live aligned. You have Chein. That's what the Tikkun of Chein is. Chat HaZorah is the Tikkun of Chein. On this topic, not that I want to talk about the topic, but on this topic, I'll just read you one last tshuva from the Tzemach Tzedek. The first one is a letter from the Rebbe, but the letter from the Rebbe is based on the Tzemach Tzedek, which is a very interesting. It's the last page, final page of here.
Chein, Cham, and Yafes. Chein is purpose, Cham is chemimus, and Yafes
It's beauty.
balance.
Correct. That's what the oldest one is Yafes. The oldest one is Yafes. I forgot to say it, but yeah.
What was the story with Noach and Cham at the end?
That was Sarsa. That's the opposite. That's Mamish opposite.
So that's Cham.
That's Cham is Sarsa, yeah. Mishkan Zachar, yeah. It goes back to the one. Yeah, Cham is back to Chemimus. That's what Cham is Chemimus. Correct. That's exactly. That's Mamish's story. That's Mamish's story. And by the way, it's also a tikkun for Chetei Tzadas because it's Tavil Le'nayim. What does it say originally?
Nechman Lamara.
Nechma L'mayra, Tavil Le'nayim. Nechma L'mayra is different than Tavil Le'nayim. Tavil is already personal. Nechma is beautiful. When you say something is beautiful, it's very different than when you say something is desirable. Desirable is what I can do with it. Nechma, if a person sees something very beautiful in this world, even a very beautiful person, what do you have to say? Exactly. What's the bracha do you have to say? Shekacha b'ilame. What's shekacha? Shekacha doesn't should be b'riyas yafes. Shekacha b'ilame means azay. You're beautiful. So what? It's the end of the story. You're beautiful. I don't have to own it. I don't have to take it home. It's not mine. It's beautiful. So why can't they made a beautiful thing? That's shekacha b'ilame. This is where Rabbi Kiva says you have to make the bracha on if you see ishli yafa. When you see b'ktzavis, the Gemara says, how do you allow to look at? It says b'ktzavis. Karen Zavis. What's that Karen Zavis? It's not only Karen Zavis, not that means accidental that you bumped it. It means in the Karen Zavis. You know what the Karen Zavis means? The Karen Zavis means when you turn the corner and you see something, the first moment you see it without owning it. That's the Karen Zavis. The second moment when you see something is you see it to own it. Let me use an example, because this is the Rabbinim uses this example. He says that if you want to do Machshav Zaros, what you say? That you just say sometimes afed is not afed. So let's translate that. A car is only a car, or whatever you want to translate. What does it mean? It means like this. You have a Machshav Zara. So what? What do you get to kratz? What do you get to? Is it sachal? You think about a horse. The problem is when you start thinking that I should own the horse. What can I do with the horse? You understand? That's the Tavil Einayim. That's the desire. But the horse itself, what's the problem? Think about a horse. You think about the tree. I don't know. Think about anything. It's not obviously appropriate in the middle of davening, but it's not a psazai. You don't have to. It's not a himukashay. You think about. So what his answer from Achshav Azaris is afed. It's not afed. You understand? The moment I take the story out of it, and it's shekacha b'ilame, it's just what it is. Just what it is. I don't. So it is. It's the end of the story. You understand? This is the oimek of the tikkun for the Chetei Tzadas of Einayim. It's just Nachman Lamara. Nachman Lamara. It's not Tavil Einayim. It's Nachman. It's nice. It's beautiful. So what? There's no Taiva. Okay. Here's a very interesting tshuva from the Tzemach Tzedek b'shem Alter Rebbe, which is not mamish what we talked about, but it's in the related sugya, at least for the youngsters maybe. Yeah. Aderech HaKari Shiur L'B'Yom Kippurim. So someone wrote a Shaila to Tzemach Tzedek and said, it's all not carry. So the Gemara says, Yiga Kol Hashanah. The Gemara and the Yoma says you should worry the whole year. And because Rashi said, it's like a Eved that brings a cup of water to the rabbi, and the rabbi throws it. Same Gemara in Sukkah, the same idea. What? Kitan Alpanav. So a person is Mamash Hab Git, and then he has carries. So Shamati, the Moran, he heard from the Alter Rebbe. Shaloi Lefachem is a Kadvar, when Emra was saying, Gemara, Haina Dafke Anashim Gedoy Lemoid. These are talking about very big people, tzaddikim, shemitzad ha'hidruri liboy rochak moed mezeh. Ve'ein zakim in hashamayim. Ishbiyo, ken yidah. That why? Who is it talking about? Yidah kol hashana. That a person sees Keri Yom Kippurim. Someone that does not machshav zoros, and all of a sudden it comes into his head. It comes something happens. Has an eternal mission on Yom Kippur by night. So obviously it's a problem. This is because a person is a reina person, a clean person. He doesn't have such thoughts. But everyone else. But if you thought about it, then you have machshavas. You say it's Shamayim. Hashem showed you a sign. No, you did it to yourself. Yeah. Kach kafel v'shana v'shalish. The Alter Rebbe said this once, twice, 3 times. In other words, the Alter Rebbe said this many times. Stop worrying about this. V'sachak lepamim. And the Alter Rebbe sometimes used to laugh at people. Shahayim b'morish chayim is that people that are morish chayim. The Alter Rebbe used to laugh at them. Like, what are you morish chayim? What are you upset? Stop. So now the simple said right. So so that someone said, "Afim omi yachal libel marish cherem is a." You say if a person could still fulfill marish cherem, a person can fulfill the press. Why? Even though generally a person could say, "It came from me," but bevadalo you talking to every Yom Kippur, you hire Rura Aveir Chas V'Shalom. But you're going to say that every Kippur, I mean Kippur by night, I had the Rura Aveir and I saw Carrie by night. What do you do? During the video, I was having a Rura Aveir. So then it's certainly back. It's to heaven. In other words, a person could be Marish Cheir. What is the Alter Rebbe? The Alter Rebbe says, "Don't be such a Marish Cheir because you had such thoughts." Okay, so what are you doing? So I had such thoughts. Makes it worse. I had such thoughts at every Kippur. What's wrong with me? That alone could make me a problem. So then, and then you say, if it happened, it must be in a Shemayim. It's true. You're not going to have a Hirur Aveira every Kippur. Avol Hirur mizeh gufa shemisiara mefacher lenafshay shaliyir kansu chayib leivim zeh shachik tuvi every Kippur. That in itself, that you're worried that you're not going to see carry, you're going to the anxiety. This is a gewaltige teres because the Tzemach Tzedek is basically saying is sometimes, I would say all times, stop thinking about it. The thinking about it, even the thinking about it that you don't want to do it, stop it. Don't let go of all these machshavas. It's not only talking about carry, by the way. It's talking about all averes. Person is like worrying on to do this aver. Why are you worried to do it? Just don't do the aver. Just don't do the aver. You did the aver, b'tshuva, finish. Stop worrying that you're gonna do the aver because you're worrying you're going to do the aver. You're gonna do the aver. Stop messing with yourself. V'chein yasir daitel mazel legamri v'yisamech v'toiv leif. Yishemasir daitel legamri, which means even though it happened and it's not your fault, and maybe you did it, and it came from your thoughts, stop it, let it go. V'yisamech v'toiv leif. You should just be joyful and move on with life. That is the tikkun. So if you look at there's a tshuva in the Lubavitcher, the Rebbe has a tshuva over here. L'shallah say tikkun b'inir yedua hine yasir daitem zel legamri. V'hesach hadas ein inish shel mechama al machshav loitev elanias machshav lin acher. Just forget about it, move on, think about something else. This is the tikkun. The tikkun for zel levatala is just to move on to masir das. Because if you're not masir das, you're thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking about it. You're thinking about averis. And the whole day you're thinking about averis. Stop thinking about averis. This is not only about Azar. It's about anything. It's about anything. Stop living with guilt. You didn't aver? Do tshuva. Fine, do tshuva. What do you think about your averis the whole day? So you're walking around. Not only did you do avera, but you're walking around the whole day that you're about avera, and you have to do an avera again, and the whole day you're thinking about averis. Yeah. That's a good shayla. You're asking what it means? It's in my book on tshuva. I don't remember the tennis, but it's in my book on tshuva. That has to be negdi. It has to be in front of me, not bibi. Yeah, it has to be a front. Yeah, but not you. That's negdi. It's outside of me. Machareinu, exactly. It's Achareinu. Achareinu is what eats you up. I did this. I'm a terrible person. So then you talk about it. So that's the other nekuda of Tikkun Masech Das. Klal v'klal v'yisamech v'toiv leiv.
What's the bottom line?
What?
What's the bottom line? I mean, bring it all together. Like.
That's the Tikkun is to bring it all together. That's the Tikkun is told to bring it all together. And Yom Sifcha.
Yeah, meaning
It's
the
a Zohar.
attitude of Machanino is what it is. If you can erase, if you can get to that place of it, that's how you're the Tikkun through assassin from May Noah.
How? What's the pshat?
The erase of it, meaning you move on.
Okay, it's the same word then.
Exactly.
The Masech Das. I would say the takeaway, if you want to understand, is you have to make. You don't have to do anything, but if you want to live a higher, healthier, spiritual life, you have to try to be aligned. That's it. Just alignment. You need to work on alignment. When you say something, think about it before you say it. Say it emes. Make sure there's a recipient that's going to hear those words. You have to understand sometimes people are able to hear, sometimes they're not able to hear. You have to be sensitive. Know that you're always in dialogue with someone. You want to express a thought. You want to speak something. Think about it. Shouldn't be zel batala. You should just live. Your yesod should always be in a perfect alignment to the right makabel of the malchus. And then you have Chein. Then you have Ruach HaKodesh, and you have Chacham Ilah, and you have Oinig, and you have Shabbos and Menucha. It's all the same thing, by the way. You have Shtika, and what's Alter Rebbe saying that it's Oinig and it's Shabbos? That's Shabbos. It's peaceful, and it's ruig. Everything just slow, everything just moves easy. Stop being so convoluted. Life is not so complicated. Life has got it very simple. Just be simple and just let it move. Let it flow. Huh? Don't get in the way. That's Menucha. That's Menucha Shabbos. Menucha, everything moves forward.
Such a level of scariness can only be turned through tshuva ma'ahava, through love.
Avada? Avada? Nothing's forced. You can't force anything.
So what's the connection between that and Bereshit Kahana, Vichuneka?
It's a good shy. Oh, you're a Kohen?
Yeah.
Aha. The Kohen is also, the Kohen is the exactly. The Kohen is the Badishva says that the Kohen, there's two ways how to hold your hand. You can hold your hand like this, or you can hold like this. When you Birchas Kohen, you have to hold your hands like this. What's the difference? What's the difference if you hold your hand like this, or you hold it like this? If you hold your hand like this, you receive, and then you give. You hold your hand like this, you have the hay, the 5 places that come through, so you have the ashpah just comes through you. The Kohen is Vani Avarachem. So Kohen is like let's let it flow through you. This is the oimik. That's if you want to stop fighting with yourself. Stop fighting with yourself. Everything's gonna be all right. Stop fighting with yourself. Come from a place of menuchas and nefesh, menucha in your seichel, menuchas in your menucha in ma'isa, and then you have takechein.
And when we make a mistake,
move on. Heschadas, weiter. Do tshuva. Go on. Don't stop being bogged down by all this narishkeit. You bog down by the narishkeit. You call them misavil menuva misnavel kamoisei. If you fight with a dirty person, you're dirty all day. That's it. You wanted to fight with dirty person, you can fight. Listen, you have an option. You can fight your whole life. Or one day the switch turns on and you realize there's no fight. There's no fight. What are you fighting? There's no fight. Everyone's on the same side. Yitzhahar is working for Hashem. Everyone's working for the same thing. Everyone's working for the same. What are you fighting? What's the machlokes? What's going on? Right? What are you fighting for? And then you have Chein. You have yourself a child fights with himself. They have dichotomies and have issues and existential anxieties. They can't get up in the morning because they don't know what to do. And look at them. They get up. They go. They jump around in the playground. It's a fidden. They're sitting playing in the monkey bars. This is menucha. But in an oimik way, this is what it is.
So how do you explain Yeshu Doshim Laganai and that Noyef is Katana Emuna? How do you explain that based on this? Seems like he's the greatest.
You know, there's a word that someone said that people talking about the big tzaddik. There's a big tzaddik, and I was like, "Hey, you're not tzaddik." So they came to one of the Rebbe and said, "That's what's pshat." He said that even the Torah says that each tzaddik hoya. The Torah says he's a tzaddik. He said, "Well, better." The Torah says I'm a tzaddik. That's his opinion. Okay, so you have to read. You have to. Of course, it's a matter. Rashi brings it down. Yesh Doshim L'Gnai is the shvach of Noach. Not it's not negay. It's a whole arichas, but the point is that sometimes people are they. No, not the point. Not the point. Yeah, the yeshes. The vort is something else. No, the yesh Doshim L'Gnai is that sometimes a person wants other people not to emulate them because they know that in another situation you can do it differently. That's the Doshim L'Gnai. Not the Doshim L'Gnai. The other people say he's a Rasha. Saying that Noach wants himself to say that Lefi Erech, what if he would be in a different generation? So it's Noach. It's a Shvach Noach. It's a Shvach Noach to say that it's L'Gnai.
He still has the thing. Where's the Gnai? Where's the Gnai in his
Oh no, you asked about that.
Yeah.
What
Negative. How could you look at Noach and say?
I understand the child has Chein, but it's much different than an adult has Chein, right? This could be a Chein on a lower madrega, could be on a higher madrega.
He had too much trust in humanity, and that lowered his trust in God. That's why he had so much favor, because he saw the best in people.
He saw the best in people. That's correct.
So the now was that he underrated God's strength and power to punish them by seeing the best.
But that's a Mila.
Yeah, that's what the Lutnai was. And
But this is what I mean. Ela told us Noach. That Noach was trying to produce the highest form of self.
That's the Rebbe.
No,
Yeah.
The Yehuda Kadosh.
The Yagadosh, yeah.
The Ben Hamiti.
Yeah. Yeah. Neichel Yonim Neichel Nachtoinim. The two Noachs. Is it clear what you're trying to say? It's clear. Huh? Shir Baal Shem Tov has a Chadas.